Oh my gosh, you guys, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I am so excited to be with you guys today. I am celebrating 200 episodes on the podcast. And this morning, when I sat down to think about, okay, what do I want to create? I've had multiple ideas. I've actually started writing out probably 3 or 4 different episodes for today. And I sat down and I created something brand new. I'm going to be focusing on the 5 most important things that I wish I had known when I started podcasting, when I started my business. This might be a podcast that you put a pin in and you come back and you listen to it again and again. I started podcasting back in 2018. It was just a baby podcast. I was just a baby podcaster at the time. I created 104 episodes and then I took a little break. I had to step back for a little bit and just kind of regroup. I wasn't sure if I was going to come back to the podcast, but man, I am so glad I did, because this gives me the perfect playground, the perfect opportunity to kind of report and talk to you guys about the things that I'm learning as I'm applying the information that I'm sharing with you. I go and apply it during the week and I come back and I learn more and I'm able to share it with my audience, with you guys. And I'm just so grateful for the podcast. I'm grateful for you for being here. I'm grateful for myself for showing up every week. Deep wisdom takes time. It takes a lot of practice and it takes a lot of effort, sometimes some blood, sweat, and tears in there along the way. And so I wanted to just share with you my top 5, the things that I feel in my core are so important to being able to put your message, being able to put your mission out into the world. Because no matter your journey, these are the things to focus on, and they matter, and you matter, and your voice, your message matters in this world. I think we are all here to make the world a better place. And so, like I said, just grateful for you, grateful for this opportunity. If you're brand new to the podcast today, I am Janine Alley. You are listening to Becoming the CEO of Your Life. And like I said, if you're here, hopefully you're a visionary or you're creative and you've got something really special that you want to share. Maybe it's one thing, maybe it's multiple things, but you are here to make a difference. And that is something that I feel all the way to the bottom of my toes. So I'm grateful that I get to hang with you today. So what am I going to share? There's 5 specific skills to help you rise above the noise today, because there's so much noise. There's so much advice on how to do things, right? How to do things right, quote unquote, right? And we get distracted. I know for a long time, I got distracted by a lot of strategies, a lot of people talking about doing things a specific and a certain way. And it got me really sideways. I got very dysregulated almost anytime I would show up to even listen to my own coach, because I wasn't connected to myself. And I think I was so desperate to learn the how, I wasn't listening to my own inner guide and my own inner wisdom. But here is the truth. This is a lot less about a specific process and more about developing these 5 specific skills that I'm going to share with you today, and to help you to overcome that inner resistance that shows up, that voice of self-doubt or overwhelm or anxiety, and wondering if you have what it takes. You 100% have what it takes. 110% you've got what it takes for sure. But that strategy often comes more naturally to us when we are connected to these skills and working on developing these skills. So what are these things? I've been talking around it, but what are these things specifically? So the first skill to focus on in being able to become the CEO of your life and to confidently put your message out into the world is to develop the skill of self-trust. This is everything. And this is where I'm going to start today with these skills, because everything that I say after this ties back into self-trust. And there are 2 pieces of self-trust to be aware of, and that I want to talk about today. So the first piece is developing a relationship with you. If you've been listening to the podcast, I've been talking about creating that core connection. This is not only vital to your business or to your mission, but this is vital to your overall quality of life, your well-being, your health, your relationships. Everything is your relationship with yourself. The second piece of self-trust is your ability to feel emotions and to stay regulated in your nervous system so that you can stay connected to your highest thinking. right? That highest thinking, when we step away from situations or circumstances and we're like, okay, this is how I want to show up. And then we actually get into the thick of it. We've got somebody yelling at us. We have our kids that are saying, so I don't know, all kinds of things get us in this space of dysregulation where we are reactive. We're kind of relying on some of those primitive neural pathways that we've developed over our lives. That's not how we want to be, right? And in order to overcome that, we have to learn the skills to stay connected to our emotions and to stay regulated in your nervous system in the process of that. So I want to talk about these two things specifically today in this point of developing self-trust. So in order to trust yourself, you have to really know yourself, right? It comes down to how well do you know you? For me, I have to have this practice of understanding who I am and getting to know myself on a really, really deep level. And so that I can have my own back, right? And this is something that I practice every single day. I intentionally decide, okay, how do I want to take on all of these other roles in my life based off of this connection with me and the way that I intentionally want to show up? I coach for a nonprofit organization. And one of the things that I have my clients over there do is kind of this identity game, I guess is what I would call it. And I have them write down all of their identities on puzzle pieces and put the puzzle together. And I have them save one piece off to the side. And I ask them at the end if any of them put their own name on any of the puzzle pieces. And no one ever does, right? So I have them write their name down and complete the puzzle. But this is kind of the take home from that. You want to be able to have a relationship with you first. You are a human being first. And from there, you can decide, okay, how do I want to show up as a mom or as an employee or as a spouse or as a daughter and all these other relationships and roles that you take on in your life? How do you want to show up as you in these spaces? Because I know when I wasn't showing up as me, I was people pleasing. I was doing a lot of things that would self-sabotage my dream and my goal and the thing that I felt like I was here to do. All right, the second piece of developing self-trust is creating a practice to feel emotions. So I have a practice to get to know myself, a practice to feel my own emotions. Sometimes it's the same practice. Yoga and walking are so crucial to my life for this reason. And it has been kind of an anchor for me in this process. It's a safe space for me to really explore how I feel and to just watch my brain kind of think and process certain emotions. Sometimes I show up on my yoga mat and I just do an entire practice on feeling overwhelmed or feeling anxious and to feel what that really feels like in my body so that when it is game time, when it's go time and I'm actually feeling that, I'm not in a state of fight, flight, or freeze. I'm not slipping into dysregulation where I want to fight back, I want to flee the scene, or I just start to shut down. That's what happens when we're dysregulated, right? The sympathetic nervous system kicks in and it takes over. We get sidelines from our goals when we become dysregulated because we do move into that flight or freeze or fight state. We can't connect to our highest thinking when we're in that space because all we're focused on when we're there is on surviving. Right. I was actually just coaching somebody yesterday on having a hard conversation with somebody who was yelling. So it's all about business. And this other person was getting very heated, very angry, and she felt herself feeling defensive and feeling belittled and feeling attacked by this other person. And she moved into that fight or freeze state. And so she was asking me, how do I actually feel my emotions and stay connected to my highest self when I'm in a space like that, right? So that is kind of the Olympic Games of coaching. We're taking all of the things that we learn on how to process and think about what we're thinking about and process our emotions and actually apply it to the moment, right? So I have a practice beforehand when I'm on my yoga mat and when I'm out for my walks and I'm practicing feeling those things. That's why I journal all the time, is to really create that connection and that relationship with myself so that I know I can trust myself when I get into these situations, right? I also have a practice of reflecting and kind of debriefing after the fact, again, so that I can do it all during and get better at doing this. I'm not perfect at it, but I'm so much better. My kids will even tell you I'm so much better at doing this because of this practice. I am a different mom from before I knew how to regulate my nervous system to after and having a regular practice of doing this. So This all comes down to self-trust. I've done specific episodes on regulating, but the overarching reason why I do this is so that I can trust myself to show up the way that I want to when I want to. That is so important for us to be able to rely on ourselves. Okay, the second thing that I would tell you is we ultimately want to let go of the outcome. And I know this is kind of controversial. You may be like, what? But this is something that I 100% take a stand on. Goals are great. They help us to know the direction that we're going. They kind of act as a compass for us, but they aren't everything. We have goals in order to become the next best version of ourselves. And this is an ever evolving process. When you focus on becoming the person who achieves the goal happens naturally and the goal actually sticks. So if you're, for example, working on a health goal and you decide, okay, in order for me to get healthy, I'm going to run a race, and you finish the race and you never run again, you didn't actually become something different in that process. You just slip back into past patterns and behaviors, right? You're not running anymore. And I've done this. So if you've done it too, great, you're in good company. But we want to be able to become somebody who's healthy. That's why we set these goals, right? So if we're so focused on achieving that goal, we often do what we need to do in order to reach the goal in the short term, kind of focusing on, okay, what do I need to get done today, instead of how do I need to change? Who do I need to become in order for this to be a long-term success for me? Another way that I've heard this described and taught that has really sunk in for me is thinking about, would I rather earn $1 million or would I rather have somebody give me $1 million? And every single day of the week, I'd rather figure out how to earn it for myself. Because if somebody just hands me the money, I don't have the skills to manage it or to hold on to it or to use it in the way that I would want to if I actually earned it. I'd appreciate it more. I would manage it better. I would have so many different skills because I actually went through the process of earning it and losing it and earning it some more, and kind of away we go with that, right? The other piece of this is oftentimes our identities get tangled up in the goals themselves, right? Like, I am a triathlete. That was an identity that I had for a while that was kind of tied up in a goal that I had. You are not your goals. So don't take the outcomes that you're getting personally. You want to be able to have fun along the way. Everybody else is worried about themselves and they're often reacting to their own experience. And so how they're showing up is more about them than it is about you. So don't take your outcomes seriously. Don't take other people's reaction of what you're doing seriously. Like I said, it's kind of a reflection of what's going on in their brains. If it affects you, that is a reflection of what's going on in your brain, right? If you believe what it is that they're saying, that is work that we need to do for ourselves in order to be free of those limiting beliefs. The next thing that I have learned is how you talk to yourself matters. This 100% plays into the relationship that you have with yourself. So I want you thinking, okay, when things don't go well, when you make a mistake, you don't get the outcome that you desire, what does that conversation sound like in your brain? If you have an amazing relationship with yourself, you're not going to bag on yourself. You're not going to beat yourself up. You're not going to judge yourself. You just wouldn't do that if you had a really good relationship with yourself. So that is kind of a mirror of where that relationship is with you. The way that you talk to yourself matters, and it matters so much. The way that I used to talk to myself was very harsh. There was a lot of judgment and criticism. I would spin in a lot of these conversations. And that is almost the opposite of the way that I take care of and treat myself and talk to myself now. I show up with so much love for myself. I'm proud of myself and the way that I work and who I am and how I am as a human being now in the world. I have learned to offer myself so much grace in this process, and I've learned how to listen really well to myself. So practice listening to your stories and practice being that soft place for yourself to land. I have these conversations with myself where I'm like, okay, tell me all the things. Tell me what's really going on. And I'm able to hold space for whatever is there. Even if it's ugly, even if it's something that I'm not super proud of, I'm still able to be in that objective space and just be like, it's okay. What did we learn from this experience? I'm able to cheer myself on, and it's made all the difference. So not only does it matter how you talk to yourself, but it really matters how you talk about other people as well, because it's energy. It's energy that you put out into the world. We are all beings of light and vitality and love, and the way that you use your words should honor and support that. Okay, the fourth thing that I want to tell you about that I've learned over the last 200 episodes is how important it is to fuel your creative fire, and not just as an afterthought, but more as a power move. I think too often people assume, okay, when my life slows down, when the dust kind of settles on this project, then I'll be able to make this a priority. But the opposite is true. You don't want to let the pace of your life take your power away and swallow you up so that you don't even know who you are, right? The way that we take care of ourselves also nurtures our relationship with ourselves, and it also nurtures this self-trust piece, because we're able to be intentional. We're able to follow through on our word. You know what to do, right? You know what to do to take better care of yourself. It's not rocket science, right? But you want to be really thoughtful and objective in how you are protecting and cultivating your energy. How are you eating? How are you moving? How are you drinking? How are you sleeping? And how are you keeping your environment and the space that you live in? All of these play into how energized and abundant that we feel. We are energy. So you want to have specific systems in place to really fan that flame. You are light, you are thought, you are vibration, you are consciousness, you are emotion, you are spirit. So don't underestimate the power of creating a sustainable lifestyle as a creative, where you are focused on feeling really good. This is not only what you deserve. You deserve to feel good, but like I said, it's a power move to be able to create your own support and your own wellspring of energy. This isn't something that has to happen from outside of you. You should feel motivated. You should feel inspired because of the way that you take care of yourself. All right, the last thing that I want to talk about today is, if you don't know how to do this already, this is kind of the culmination of the things that I've been talking about, is you want to learn how to keep your word to yourself. You want to learn how to run your life like you would hopefully run a business, like a well-oiled machine, right? This is what it means to be the CEO of your life. You want to become unwavering and do the things that you say you're going to do. So if you tell yourself you're going to eat healthy and take better care of yourself, for example, you figure it out and you do it. This is not willpower. It is much, much simpler than we often think, right? It is about unraveling thoughts and patterns and cultural downloads that no longer serve us. And it's about becoming that person that has the systems in place physically, emotionally, and mentally in order to support your vision. It's not just about your goal as a vision. It's about the vision of who you want to be in the process. So you want to stay connected to your core. This is why I started talking about self-trust. You want to stay connected to your core. You want to focus on fueling your fire. You want to be in alignment energetically with your vision. So you allow this to be a fluid process, right? I think sometimes we have this idea in mind and we think it's going to be a linear experience to reach that goal. And it's never like that, because we realize, oh, that's not exactly what I thought it was going to be, or that's not exactly what I wanted. And so you continue to show up, you continue to try things out until you start to feel more and more aligned, both internally on doing things that feel good and connecting to yourself that way, but also externally so that you're getting the results that you want through this whole process. So when this is in place, when all of these pieces are in place and you become unwavering, you become unstoppable, and your energy starts to spiral up, and it really does boil down to your ability to keep your word to yourself. All right, my friends, that is it. That's what I have for you today. If you liked this episode, I would love it if you rated, reviewed, and shared the podcast with friends. It really does go a long way to helping to bring people along for the ride and to get this podcast out into the hands of more people. I guess it is in their hands, but they just don't know about it. So share it. That would be amazing. And lastly, if you haven't booked your Unwavering Woman Assessment, I would love to talk to you. We just talked about becoming unwavering and being able to show up and keep your word to yourself, being able to create that core connection and fuel your fire. All of these things that help your energy to really fire up If you want to know where you are wavering, if you're not quite sure or how to overcome it, book this assessment with me. It's a 15-minute assessment and it is tailored 100% to you. It is 100% value call. There's no sales on the call at all. It's just me connecting with you and helping you along. So if that sounds like something that you are interested, reach out and book a spot on my calendar. You can go to JanineAlley.com/CEO to book your spot right now. All right, you guys, that is what I have. I hope that you have a beautiful rest of your week and you are enjoying some sunny days wherever you are. I will talk to you guys soon. Take care. We'll see ya. Bye-bye.